Welcome back to One Punch Man Anime Review episode number 5. This time I'm reviewing the third episode of season 2, technically the 15th episode of the anime, which is called, if I can get it, hang on, the name of the episode is The Hunt Begins. This episode roughly covers, believe it or not, roughly about five full chapters of the manga. Covers chapters 46 to 50, plus the first 11 pages of chapter 51. What technically happens in this episode? Okay, there's a student of the superhero of Sewer Fang. Well, he's been kicked out of his dojo because, well, he thinks he's weak. It turns out it's actually not true at all. Because if it's happening last episode, what's the evidence here? He goes to visit Saitama, and here's something just by pure weird coincidence. Okay, now Genos lives there, so not really a big problem there. All of a sudden, you have King there playing video games, and then you have Buzzer just sitting over in the corner just eating fruit. Okay, as for why she's there, it's just particularly very bizarre. Has she been hanging out in the apartment the whole time and just never went? Has she been hanging out the whole time and she's never gone home? I'm sure she's got a house of her own, but why in the world she's hanging out with Saitama is so bizarre. But it's great the fact she's in this episode because I like this character. And something bad happens to her organization, like her group, a little bit later on. Yeah. And I mentioned something with Silver Fang, and it turns out because of the character Gyros, who was actually a former student of his, who kicked out because he was very violent. And this is the guy who last week beat up a A-class superhero. This week, he goes around beat up more superheroes. Who does he beat up? Let's see. He beats up Tank Top Master, that's what he calls himself, and all of his subordinates. Even Cyclist Hero, though they call him the sub, Metma Hero, but in the dub, they've heard him as the Cyclist Hero. I like that better. I really like this character because of how interesting he is. Despite the fact he's a rank 1 C-class hero, he's an honest person. He actually does his job as a hero. And, man, seeing him getting the crap beat out of him by Gyros is it's so like, wow. Yeah, I get the fact why you wipe the floor with Tank Top Master. That's the thing with a lot of the superheroes in this particular franchise. A lot of them have got really terrible names and really terrible powers. I mean, there's some good ones, aside from the top two characters. Aside from Saitama and Generals, there's some other good heroes. Like Silver Fang, Atomic Samurai, who actually is a really good superhero, really good at his job. I mean, a lot of the S-class heroes are really good characters. Now, I'm not really a fan of Puri Puri, because I don't really care for him. He's probably my least favorite superhero in the entire series. And something can't be said about the Drive Knight, who in the dub is voiced by Ty Peppercorn, because there's nothing really much to this character at all, because he doesn't show up, he barely shows up at all, he doesn't care. And Animal Mass is a character that just so full of himself that I was talking to people online that they all agree about this, that Saitama should beat the crap out of him for how much of a jerk he is to everybody else. Yep. So, Saitama, and of course Saitama goes to visit Cyclist Hero, he's talking to him about what happened, and just by sheer coincidence, Tank Top Master is in the bed right next to him in the hospital. I'm like, okay, and of course, prior to this, we have where Silver Fang and his brother, yes, his older brother, and apparently these two don't have children for some reason. They're both just two old men who just have them on dojos. Okay, fine. And they find everybody, and they all, like, these characters would beat the living crap out of them. And of course, so after Saitama talks to, well, Tank Top Master, who explains all of the moves that Gyros uses, and how he beats people up, he, of course, just, well, goes to the former student of Silver Fang, talks to him for a little while, talks to him about a tournament, and then next time you see Saitama, he's basically shopping. Yep. And he beats up an official who's hanging out with two beautiful women, because it feels like it. Excuse me. And he meets up with Saitama, and he tries to attack Saitama. Well, before he attacks Saitama, he goes after. He first pays visit with a little boy who is a big fan of the superheroes, and he reads a superhero guide. Okay, and that's how he finds out what the characters like trump cards. And he goes, "There's a Gold Ball." That's really the guy's name, Gold Ball. And I don't know if Bendis basically took the name when he named the character Gold Balls from the X-Men. He gave the character that name. I mean, it's a similar name to the Marvel superhero Gold Balls, but here's kind of the difference between two of them. The Gold Balls Gold Ball has, that comes out of his body. The Gold Ball in this series, he makes those balls. He's not a mutant. He's just a guy who's also really good with a slingshot, which makes this one of two anime I've seen. We have a character who uses a slingshot as a weapon. The only other character I know who does that is Usopp in One Piece. And unlike Usopp, this guy is not a coward, and he's very good. He hits him like in the face, hits him in the leg, and then after a little while, about taking him on, like he almost running out of balls, all of a sudden, Spring Mustachio shows up. Yeah, that's really the cause of this guy. That's really this guy's name is Spring Mustachio because he's got a good-looking mustache, and he dresses like he's a gentleman, and he also got this very cool-looking sword, which also apparently acts like sort of like rubber and turns like a spin thing, and tries to attack him. Eventually, he's taken out pretty easily by him, and of course takes a Gold Ball. And of course, next time you see the guy, of course he beats up the official, runs into Saitama, he proceeds to attack him, but like sort of like karate chop right to like his like neck and shoulder area. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And then he proceeds to sort of throw him over and sort of beat him up. And then, of course, he goes to the vendor, tries to buy a wig, and he says, like, "How much is this? 3,000 yen." It's like, that's expensive. Of course, this is also related to something else related to money, where he wants to participate in a tournament, a martial arts tournament. Yep. And the thing with Genos is that, not Genos, with Saitama, half the time he suffers through partial memory loss. Well, at least he's very forgetful about people. I mean, he remembers Genos. I think the reason why he doesn't forget Genos' name, or at least few other people, because he hangs out with them. That's probably the reason why. But this overall was a really good episode, and very good. I at least got handed to. I think in the case of Genos, they at least improved upon him for what he looked like the way he did in the last couple episodes. His face is not exactly long; it's a little more shorter in this episode. The animation did improve, probably because the animation probably sees some complaints about Genos' look in the series. Otherwise, the rest of the characters in the anime look fantastic. Saitama looks great. Buzzer looks great. Of course, she's still smoking hot like she is in the manga. And I got handed to him. It was really good for this episode. Now let's talk about, and this is basically happening whenever a new chapter comes out, and it comes out the same week as the new episode anime. But who knows? Depends on the writer one. Okay, now let's talk about the 107th chapter of the One Punch Man manga, N/A. That's seriously title of this. On the title, we have Captain Mitsuki wearing a t-shirt. I finally found this character. I simply refer to this character as the Olympian because she looks like an Olympian. All she does is basically just wear a shirt over her outfit, takes it off, bam, it's over her outfit, and she just shows off her great-looking body. Does it show up in this chapter? Nope. Chapter starts off with Twister destroying a monster. Yep. Takes on one of the monsters, the basic section of this arc. She does her dull face look like Saitama does. Yeah, she does this look. I mean, she does this dull surprise look, and she's one of two characters. The only character is Saitama who does this. No other character in the series does this, and she, of course, takes on the creature, destroys it. She just, of course, laughs at it while destroying the creature. And then Saitama just happens to come across some Hydra creature. Yeah, it looks like some kind of Hydra creature. And then he tries, and the chapter ends with him saying that he's taking on. Like, he's about to take on the creature, and that's how the chapter ends. Wow. Really quick. Yeah. That's the odd thing about the chapters of One Punch Man. They're getting really shorter. And apparently the webcomic has resumed for the first time in about 2 years. Yeah. I have partially read the One Punch Man webcomic. It's got good writing with it. I do appreciate that. The artwork is terrible. Yes. No getting around the artwork for the webcomic. It is awful. It is very amateurish. And apparently this... Now, I like the artwork for the manga better because it feels more traditional style manga artwork. And this, of course, has really good artwork. The webcomic, like I said, does not have good artwork. I have only read partially of the comic. The webcomic, I've got like the first like 10, 20 chapters of it. I haven't gone any further than that. Yeah, I'll probably resume it sometime in the near future. And I'll probably get my thoughts on the webcomic. How good or bad it is depends on basically how my mood of it. I'm gonna give this chapter roughly at least a 9 out of 10 because at least continues where last chapter came off. And the only reason why it's not an 8.5 is because Saitama shows up in the chapter. And at least he's not one panel cameo like he was prior to the last chapter, where his last appearance was a one panel cameo back in chapter 93. Here he appears for about 3 pages. Yeah. But yeah, at least the last quarter of this chapter. And it's really short. I looked up, I checked how long this chapter is. This chapter is 21 pages, which feels very short for a chapter. Yep. Otherwise, though, that's really it for this particular review. I still got a few more reviews like I plan to do today, which is also going to be like right after this, as I put this video up, I'm going to review, when I get a chance to read it, the newest chapter of the Boruto manga. I'm going to get a chance to review that, along with the newest episode of Black Clover and its new chapter manga, Fairy Tail, newest episode released for that, and I'm hoping also today to do a review of season 17 of Case Closed. I was hoping to do that first, but I'm like partway into the third to last episode of the season, and it's like 48 minutes. Like apparently it's another hour-long special for some reason. I don't know why, but it is. Yep. But until you see the next video, bye.